Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Coleman. I'm the founder of The Future of Film is Female, and we are an organization that amplifies the work of all women filmmakers through our short film fund, our commitment to exhibition, and our community building programs. I want to thank you all so much for being here tonight as we discuss the film that is fantastic and original and one of my new favorites, I Blame Society. I'm so happy to welcome the writer, director, and star of I Blame Society, Gillian Horvat, along with the comedian, writer, and film critic, Jourdain Searles. And they're going to be talking about all things murder and filmmaking. Gillian and Jourdain, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to leave it to you all, but I just want to let everybody know if you are attending on our Zoom or watching on Cranked Up's YouTube, if you would like to ask a question, we are having a brief audience question portion at the end, so just leave your question in there, and I will jet it off to Jourdain to have Gillian answer it. So have fun. Thank you both so much, and I'll see you later.
Thanks, Karen.
Gillian, so happy to talk to you.
I'm excited. Throw it at me, Jordan.
Well, my first question is, what inspired you to make this film? Because it's really fascinating and original.
It came from a place of authenticity in a couple ways. I really did get a compliment from a couple of my friends that I would make a good murderer. And I definitely considered it a compliment, because I think when somebody tells you that you're good at something, that is a compliment. It doesn't matter what it is. And that's probably my suburban people pleasing upbringing talking. But that's how I felt. And I thought it was really interesting. So I started to kind of make this, I want to do like a short documentary kind of around the idea. And it was like kind of in a Werner Herzog hybrid mode, where I would take the people who knew me, like my mom and my grandma and my friends, and take them to these kind of like murder locales, like the middle of the forest, or like interview them from the back seat of a car in the middle of an empty parking lot and ask them if they thought that I would make a good murderer. And so that is the section that you see Keith and Gillian watching on the laptop in the movie. The thing with the short documentary is that I edited it, and I just kind of thought, I was like, oh, it's a cute idea, but I don't know if it really works. Maybe I was kind of starting to also slip into like a period of, I don't know, like a little bit of insecurity about artistically where I was and where I was going, because I came up with the idea after I had done the short film Kiss Kiss Finger Bang, which it did better than it had any right to do. It won the Midnight Short Film Award at South by Southwest. It was a Vimeo staff pick. It did really well. And it's not like I thought that, Hollywood was going to come calling and like my life was an easy street because I won an award for a short film. But I did think that there were next steps, and that I had taken a first one, and that I was going to, I don't know, like there were going to be opportunities, pitching on things or something. At least, what I saw, a lot of my male peers in the genre world being offered. And I felt like, even though I had shown something and it had connected with an audience and connected with programmers and critics and all sorts of stuff, I just wasn't going anywhere, and not the way that I saw my male peers being invited to like talk about features. And so I just kind of, I had like a hard couple of years, like mentally. Like my career was fine, I was doing things, but I just kind of started to like enter like a period of doubt.
So creating a lot of the, beyond the short documentary, creating the surrounding elements of the film and this new narrative where your character actually is a murderer, that, you know, it came from a place of frustration with the industry.
Yeah, it felt like, I mean, not just frustration, probably rage.
Mhm.
And which I think, definitely shows up in the film. I think it's a very angry movie. And I think that I'm feeling right now that it's like starting to come out that that's connecting with people, and I'm feeling not so alone in my anger, and that's a good feeling too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I noticed how much in the film the term, the phrase strong female lead is used. It's one of my least favorite phrases as a critic and as a screenwriter. I absolutely hate it. And I wanted to know how you felt about it, and kind of like the narrative around that phrase.
Well, obviously it's a term that was coined by mostly men working in Hollywood, because I don't think a woman would coin it. She would just call it a strong lead, right?
Yes.
Um, this is obviously an idea that's been, perpetuated and concretized by men as something to help them designate what they find to be, like a palatable female character that they can get both men and women to go along with, hopefully. And I don't think that my idea of a strong female lead is what the industry's idea of a strong female lead is, at least at this point. My ideas of somebody who is actually relatable to women, and therefore complicated and problematic, and not perfect, and does bad things for good reasons. I think that in a way, another term that comes up a lot in the film is likable. And I don't know if strong female lead and likable are as connected as the industry thinks they are. I like to see really, I like to see really interesting people on screen, and they're not necessarily the people that you want to like babysit your children. So I think that I'm just trying to put a character into the conversation that is more what I want to watch, and I don't think I'm alone. You know?
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And in terms of likability and, you know, relatability, the relationship with your character and the boyfriend character is a really interesting one, and not really one that I see in a lot of movies, where, you know, it's a situation where a girlfriend gets to be like weird and have moods and like really be messy, and also have the movie not necessarily hate her for those things.
Right.
And
Um,
go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Oh, well, I think that I want people to feel for both of those characters. Like I feel like, Keith is guilty in a certain way of like not being the most supportive boyfriend, but I mean, he also, this isn't like just some like friend or colleague that, he's trying to like be like, yeah, go make your movie, bro. This is like the woman that he lives with and has to, cohabit with, and that's a whole other kind of relationship. So having somebody that who's kind of spiraling out, that's a lot of pressure on him. But I think he also feels this frustration with her that, he kind of wishes she would grow up and face facts. And I don't know, he's frustrated that she's she sees all these doors slamming in her face, and she doesn't get the message. She's not just like, all right, well, I tried the way that he did, because she talks about how he's the editor on a superhero teen show, but obviously he has this like we mentioned in the film, this graphic novel that he would love to do, but we never see him working on it. I think it's a dream that he has foregone in order to live a more realistic life, and he's he's frustrated with her. And I think understandably, those are real things that happen in relationships.
Yeah, yeah. Totally. I mean, especially in, creative fields, it's like you kind of have to take the work that you have, and there are some passion projects that you have, and you have to make time for them and to think about the money. And speaking of all that, I wanted to talk about, how this movie was made. What was the production process like for it?
Um, I believe like I believe the technical term is made on a wing and a prayer, or made with blood, sweat, and tears. It was a very like guerrilla style film. Like we did it for like the pennies that we could raise, and didn't wait for permission from anybody. Didn't wait to like it was like we shot 12 days with a couple more days of pickups later. Very small crew, actually like a documentary sized crew pretty much, and moving really fast. And but I think it's cool because it's a lot of times in order to maximize the budget, people kind of try and like set the film in one location, and it can kind of make everything feel a bit like a chamber play. But I really, Chase and I wrote the film to take place over a bunch of locations, so you really felt the city as a character, and like the milieu of the people that they were in. And I think that helped expand the feel of our budget, especially since we knew that we were using real prosumer cameras. It was going to have a certain look to it, and we wanted it to look as authentic as possible. Like my DP Olivia, she has an Alexa. Like I could have shot on an Alexa if I wanted to. I thought the idea of shooting a found footage movie on an Alexa was really stupid. It's just would feel so inauthentic to this character. So we shot on 2 different DSLRs, an older DSLR for the first scene, 5D, and then later a Sony AS7, and then a cell phone, a GoPro, and basically like a Nest camera. And that was a lot of different frame rates to work with. It was really fun to edit.
Yeah, it's such an interesting vision. This might be like a minor question, but how did you go about casting? Since it's such, kind of like a small effort, did you just work with a lot of actors that you already knew?
Yeah, exactly. I was lucky with my my first 2 shorts that I had gotten around. That's the great thing about film festivals, is that you can meet other actors. And so a lot of those people were people I met through festivals, and then Chase did a lot of the casting because he's an actor and he knew great people, and we just kind of cast it with people that we know. Although I think it's funny, I don't know if you know the film Laced Crater, but it's like basically the same cast. I love that movie.
Yeah, I have seen Lace Crater. Yeah, there were I've seen Keith in a lot of things,
Mhm.
including like this upcoming film called Private Chat that is really, really interesting. And Jennifer Kim, I really like her. She's great in She Dies Tomorrow, which is like one of my favorite films of last year.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was like a really good cast. Um, I was kind of wondering a little bit about the thesis of your film, because of course you say that it comes from a lot of like frustration and doors being, slammed in your face and all of those things. But just the kind of like the mechanisms of the murders and who you chose to murder in the film and why, and like kind of like that train of thought.
Well, I guess I wanted it to feel, to make the like the evolution from of like just somebody who's making a movie about murder, like hypothetical murders, to real murdering, like like a plottable journey. So, at first she accidentally kills somebody that she really cares about, and that kind of breaks the seal. So after that, she's facing, these setbacks in her professional career. She has this horrible meeting with these douchey producers, and she feels that doubt of like, am I supposed to be doing this? Am I good at this? Am I delusional? Am I ridiculous? Does everybody feel sorry for me and they're just not saying it to my face? So she wants to do something that she is good at. So she's kind of experimenting and trying to be the most effective murderer possible, picking targets and, alternating between people that she envies and truly dislikes, and also peppering in, as she says, like the more traditional targets, like people that are not going to be noticed, that slip through the cracks in the system. She murders a homeless guy after she sleeps with him first because she feels bad about herself. And the reason that she does that is because she's trying to avoid creating a profile that somebody could use to psychologically track her. And so, as an example, that's something that the Golden State Killer really did, was he, read the coverage on, what profilers were saying about him, and then used that to pivot so that people would think that he had disappeared, and instead he was just creating a new profile. And so that is what the Gillian character does. So it's kind of, I don't know, in a way to like draw it back to like the film industry. She's kind of doing like a one for you, one for me kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. That makes total sense. Yeah. Um Yeah, the homeless man was an interesting scene because because that was the scene where I was just like, oh wow, she is becoming a villain. Like, I mean, there were kills before that, but it was just like, this is just like a guy who like needs some food.
Very likable guy, very sweet
Yeah,
guy, a guy who probably, won't talk about, the reason that he's in the situation that he's in. It's probably something like truly tragic.
yeah, exactly. Was thinking about like a lot of the character work and the imagery of your film, and I was wondering, are there any, like, who are the filmmakers that kind of inspire you? And it can be like past and present, though I am very interested in present because there are a lot of really interesting, specifically like female filmmakers right now.
Um, there's a lot of people that I love right now. I really love Catherine Breillat. I think that she is somebody who really pushes buttons and doesn't care what people think. And I find that very inspiring. I think that it's hard for the way that women are socialized. We're just like kind of people pleasing creatures. And it's, um, I don't know, you can have an idea that's very personal and unique, and somehow like in the process, and people make movies about this all the time, it slips away from you because you want to, you're grateful to people for giving you a chance, and so you just want to make them happy. And she's somebody who, like, I just can't imagine what she's like in a meeting. I'm sure that she just throws shit back in people's faces and just is like, no. And or I like that, she made that movie Abuse of Weakness, about being taken in by a con man, and she has Isabelle Huppert play herself, and so maybe she's just kind of like Isabelle Huppert. But some of the filmmakers who like most inspire me, and definitely leave their inspiration on the film, are like Brian De Palma and Paul Verhoeven, and actually Louis Malle. They all, again, like they're just very unique, and I just feel like their desire to do what they want, and you can like it or not like it, but there's I like their campiness, I like their satire, I like their, I don't know, there's something very pleasurable about all of their films. But some like specifically for this film, I was really inspired by this movie called Coming Apart with Rip Torn, which is also a really arty found footage movie. And this another horror movie called Fade to Black, and Species. She's definitely, like, the main character is certainly influenced by the Natasha Henstridge's character in Species. She just, you know, she walks around, she kind of looks crazy, but she just is like, I don't know, she has a little bit of a sweetness to her, you know, she just wants to do her thing.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of depictions of killers, she's always like she's very bubbly. She's even kind of like polite while she's killing, you know. And I think that that's a really fascinating choice, because we don't really think of killers that way, especially not like female killers that way. You know, we think about, like, you know, maniacal men, but we don't really, you know, think about, you know, what if a villain just looked like a regular person? You know, just like a regular woman. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I'm trying to think. Is there anything specifically about the film that you would also like to discuss? I just want to, like, just in case I didn't hit any points.
No, I think, I mean, no, I think you're doing a great job.
Oh, thanks. So do we want to open it up for the Q&A portion, asking a little bit more questions? I see there's stuff in the chat.
Oh, great.
So Karen?
It's coming. I'm typing it out.
Okay.
from another thing. I'll be right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, you know what movie I watched during the middle of making the film, which may have had a strange effect on the film, as like a as it happens, like when you're in the middle of making something and you kind of like let it assimilate, is I watched Stephen Sommers' The Mummy for the first time, and I was just like, this movie is like just so charming, and I don't know, I would like to make a movie that, like, people just feel like pleasure while watching, you know? And yeah, I think I was thinking a lot about, I don't know, sincerely about entertaining people. I mean, a little bit about, you know, angering people, you know, giving something for part of the audience to really identify with. And I don't know. I was thinking about The Mummy.
Well, that's a lot of different influences. That's really interesting. So I see a question here. What has it been like to release and have festival screenings during this time in a pandemic when people aren't together in person?
I was lucky that we got to slide in right before the pandemic really hit. So the film had its premiere at Rotterdam, and that was like the second to last big film festival that was in person. There was Berlin afterwards, that was it. And then they shut down at South by Southwest. So I've had a range of viewing experiences with people at Rotterdam. You know, I got to see it with an audience, and that was really nice. It's great because when you're sitting with people, you can feel even silently if they are rejecting your movie or if they are enjoying it. I think there's just this feeling of, you know, watching it and you're like, you know, you see people walk out and you're like, okay, our film is not made for people of like a certain age group. And then your audience is staying, you're watching them, you're seeing like where they're laughing, what they're doing, and then all of a sudden they like get really quiet. And you know that's when you've gotten them, because they are just like staying very still and watching to see what happens. And then I had to miss a lot of cool film festivals. I would have loved to go to Maryland. That's one of my favorite film festivals. I missed Calgary. That would have been cool. But I did go to Indie Memphis because they were going to play it on at a drive-in. I was like, when am I going to see my movie at a drive-in? I mean, the pandemic's going to be over. Maybe I'll get to make another movie or two. I don't know. Maybe no movies. This is it. I get a chance to watch my movie at a drive-in, and that was really amazing. And now it's interesting, releasing something in the digital age. I think you're kind of accelerating the process of people's feedback. So I think that people watch the movie and then they immediately get on Letterboxd, they immediately get on Twitter, they tell you what they think of the film, and that cycle is like a bit faster. So that's interesting too. It's been a range of experiences, and yeah, good question.
Yeah, I agree. So the next question is, can you talk a bit about the costume design choices?
Yes. So like I said, Species was actually an influence on me and our production designer who also did the costumes with me, Liz Tonkel. And we really didn't have a budget for costumes. So it's kind of like, let's go into my closet and see what a murderer would wear. Is there anything that a murdering person would put on in here? So I had this idea that for her transformation, I wanted her to wear athleisure as like her like murderer outfits. And the reason for that is because I think I wanted to like kind of draw attention to this schism that's going on between her, where she she is kind of feeling angry and she wants everybody to fuck off, and that's why she's killing people. She's pissed, but at the same time it's like she also wants positive attention. She wants her boyfriend to pay attention to her, so she puts on like a nice dress for him. She goes around wearing athleisure because that is what people in Los Angeles wear, especially successful people who are doing so well that they just kind of go from meeting to the gym to Erewhon to whatever. So she's kind of like dressing for the job that she wants, of like the successful LA person who's always in workout clothes. And I also thought there's something about like this kind of tight outfit that's like kind of villainesque. We always see like villains wearing like Catwoman in Batman Returns, like such a cool, amazing outfit. Another person I was thinking of, and this was in terms of the physicality of my performance, was Conrad Veidt in Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. As he wears this like severe dark outfit that's very tight and shows his awkwardness and his awkward physicality. And that was something that I was like, well, I'm playing myself, maybe I can bring something interesting and mannered to the role. And I know that I photograph on screen very gawky and very awkwardly. I am gawky and awkward, and I wanted to make that as like evil and scary as possible. And I think that Conrad Veidt really does that perfectly in Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. So there's like a scene where Gillian breaks into Stalin's house and stalks her, is like dosing her and sleeping. She kind of like goes up against the fridge, and it's this kind of like very mannered pose. And I thought, I don't know, why the fuck not? It's interesting.
Yeah, that scene especially with the organs, that's a really wild scene. Really interestingly done, especially like the angle where you're like looking down at the tub and there's a blood hole in it. That's incredible. Really loved that.
Thank you.
So the next question is, can you talk a bit about your filmmaking partnership with Chase Williamson? Does that work when writing together?
It does. It does with Chase. I've never had a writing partner before. I never thought I would want one. I was like, well, I like what I like, and it's very idiosyncratic. I'm never going to find anybody who's on the same wavelength as me. But I met Chase when we did a short together, and it was kind of interesting. I asked a mutual actress friend, Lindsay Burge, to introduce us. And everybody was kind of surprised that we didn't know each other already, because they were like, oh, you're kind of the same person, And it was really like meeting a soulmate in a lot of ways. He's and it's crazy because he's so handsome. You would never think that he was such a weirdo, but he really is. Usually handsome people are so boring, but he's really just wild. And so we've loved working together, and it just kind of feels really natural coming out ideas with him. He also works a lot faster than I do. I kind of have a process of really wanting to over research everything. I don't know if that's a procrastination thing, or that's just, like a sickness from having a master's degree, where you're just like, I got to go back to the archives. I don't care what I'm writing about. And he also just, I felt like sometimes, I'd have ideas for the character, but I wouldn't want to do them because I thought that, like, well, if I write it, it's too narcissistic. I've had trouble writing my character having romantic moments with people, because I felt like Zach Braff in Garden State. I was like, this is so transparent, me just trying to like find a Natalie Portman to like, so I can be in a scene with a really like good looking person, messing around with them. Everybody's going to think I'm pathetic. But if Chase writes it, it doesn't seem that way. I loosened up about that on set. I was like, this is the movie. Like, the actors read the script. They're obviously okay with doing this. But I don't know. Sometimes like when we filmed the scene with Keith, where Gillian tapes him going down on her, I definitely was in like full Zach Braff mode, or what I hope Zach Braff was thinking. If he's not a total narcissist, I hope he had some shame about that.
Very shady to Zach Braff, which I'm totally fine with.
You know what? He's dating Florence Pugh. I don't feel bad for him at all. He can take it.
He's doing great. He's in the presence of someone who's totally out of his league. Anyway, okay, so the next question is, oh man, if you could murder in a city other than Los Angeles, where would it be?
Wow. What a cool question. I mean, because it makes you think of like, what is like a great, I mean, I assume they're like, and you would also be filming it as well. So you have to take into account like cinematically, what's like a beautiful city that is not over photographed, to really capture like those kind of, those feelings. And I think I went to Edinburgh once for work, and I thought it was one of the most gorgeous cities that I've ever been in. The buildings are all this kind of beautiful gray color, and I guess it's obviously the rocks that are around there that they've quarried and brought down, and so it's also often overcast. So you have this beautiful diffuse light that's coming in and also reflecting off this uniform gray buildings, and everything just kind of looks gorgeous and dreamy. I think that would be an interesting place to film murder scenes, because you could do it during the daytime and it would be really evocative, I think.
Yeah. I'm from Georgia, so I have always imagined doing something Gothic there, which, I mean, so much of Georgia just looks naturally Gothic.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. But Edinburgh, I hadn't even, now I kind of want to look at those buildings the way that you described them. Okay. All right, so that's it for questions. So I wanted to ask, what's up next for you? What else will you be working on?
Well, What's up next is that the movie comes out on VOD on February 12th. So we'll be going on to some other platforms. But right now you can watch it on the Future of Film is streaming, and or there's also a lot of indie cinemas that are doing it and trying to keep their doors open. So if there's something really local that you want to support, you should watch the film there. Probably if you're watching the Q&A, you've already seen the movie. But I've got some other things that I would like to be doing. Some features. There's a TV show that hopefully I should be pitching really soon, or like at the end of the month or like next month. Been talking with another friend about doing a horror movie like pretty soon. I don't know. I hope there is a next thing for me. But if this is my one and done, then that's it. It was a good fuck you to everyone, and I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, if that was your only film, it's quite a thesis. But I mean, I hope that you make more films. I mean, this is a very, fascinating effort. It's very like well done. And I feel like it really establishes your voice as a feature filmmaker. And, when you mentioned television, I was like, oh my God, yeah, I would love to see what kind of television show you would come up with.
Well, I really appreciate that, Jourdain. I really appreciate it. And like the fact that, you are getting behind the film, like it really means a lot to me. I everything you're doing to draw attention to it really super helps the likelihood of me doing another one. I'll tell you that like the TV show idea I have, like I can't go into like too much detail, but it is like really fucked up. It would be like just super wild. It would still be something like you've never seen on television if they let me do it.
I really hope that they do. I like, that's something that I would love to see, love to cover. And thank you so much for talking to me. It's been a really lovely conversation.
Thank you, Jourdain. Thank you so much.